Welcome back to my channel. This video is for those of you who would like to work and live and make art in the United Kingdom. A few days ago, I made a video on how to become an international artist working and living in Europe. And then I realized that you might be thinking about moving to the UK instead of Europe, and maybe for you it's the same thing. But because of the Brexit, the people of the UK voted out and voted to leave the European Union. So soon, if you go to the UK, you might face a totally different realities than the one you have envisaged, because Europe is not the same anymore. And that's why I think it is important to make another video on moving and living in the UK as an artist, so you can see different advantages and new challenges working in the post-Brexit UK, so you can balance, weigh the pros and cons and see if you still want to start your art career in the UK. I'll start with the advantages or the perks that the UK is offering young artists that nobody else is offering. For example, number one, the largest advantages is that the UK is the second largest art market by value in the world. The number one is the United States, and number two is UK, and number three is China. So the UK, between the top three, is relatively a small country by its population and by its size. It still can hold its position as the second. This is really impressive. So it's definitely an advantage because you know there is an art market and it's a fairly large one. Number two, it speaks English. Obviously, England English. If you're watching this video, probably you can master this language. It means that you don't have to learn a new local language before starting your art career. I remember going to Germany, learning German, going to France, learning French, and now I'm based in Spain, learning Spanish. It took me a few years just to master the local language, let alone establishing myself as a professional in a new industry. This can be very challenging. So if you speak English, then move to the UK could offer some ease. At least it could offer you some time-saving advantage of being able to speak that language. Number three, it has many reputed art dealers such as Sotheby's, Christie's, and many other commercial art galleries. So if you would like to make some local connections, being in the same city as where they are based could be also a natural advantage. Number four, it has many great museums and openings, events, and you can be surrounded by great artists and great arts. Number five, it has a fairly good infrastructure and public service. The metro in London is very famous, and it has a NHS, the National Healthcare System. So if you have a life-threatening health condition, you don't have to drive hours until you reach the next hospital. So it could be life-saving factor as an artist who might have some health complications. Number six, it is great for certain types of art such as street art. Imagine if you're a street artist in London, you could have a lot more exposure. You could be in such a vantage point than any other street artist in a smaller area, in a smaller town or a smaller country. I think it's probably the best place, if not right after New York. It will be a really good thing for certain types of artists, especially if you're an artist who uses certain kind of technique or messages that your local area does not really accept. For example, if you are LGBT artist, activist, and you might face a lot of backlash and you might face a lot of social pressure in your hometown, then moving to the United Kingdom for your type of niche and message, it's very tolerant and you will find a lot more opportunities. Number seven, there are many great art schools in the United Kingdom. For example, Royal College of Art, University of Arts London, and those two are the best in the world. So if you are thinking about one day going back to art school or teaching in the art school or taking courses or doing research in art schools, this is also an excellent opportunity. Number eight, UK has a good business environment for startups, for entrepreneurs and business owners, and if you would like to one day scale your art business, like selling art merchandising or making a gallery or whatever that you want to do that involves hiring people, registering taxes and making money, the UK has a fairly good business condition that compared to the rest of continental Europe. Now let's talk about very Brexit problems, because there are many new challenges that previously the people in the United Kingdom have not envisaged. The number one challenge I would say is the political uncertainty because of the different parties and pro and anti-Brexit fights and all this internal domestic political issues. They're not really focusing on promoting cultural and art activities and projects. And if you would like to have some kind of government funding, subsidies, or have some kind of support from the government, you might not find much support. I assume, I'm not living there, but it doesn't take a lot to realize that when the country is in a mess, like the United Kingdom right now, they're not really focusing on supporting art and cultural activities, and they're not gonna invest in that. Right now they're talking about national health care, they're talking about really the essentials like homelessness and plenty of other things. So if you are an artist who would like to collaborate with local authorities, I would say they're pretty much busy on other things. Number two is that it has many policy changes, perhaps, that you will find very nasty surprises. Imagine if you're coming on a certain type of visa, or if you are having some kind of bilateral agreement with a certain kind of organization in the United Kingdom, and you come to the UK, and when you land in the airport, you might find that your visa is no longer valid, like the terminal, like in the movie, or if you find that halfway through your project is stopped, or your kind of permit is no longer valid because of the internal changes or other kind of political issues because of the Brexit. I'm pretty concerned because I'm living in the continental Europe. If I would like to acquire certain kind of permit or do business in a company in the UK in the nearby future, I would think about, wait, what happens if they exited and I have to pay higher taxes? Or, what if the bilateral agreement breaks up and I'm no longer able to work with the company there? What do I do, right? These are the questions that you need to think about before going to the UK. The third thing is that it will have the import taxes if you are working in the UK, producing your art in the UK and trying to export to the European Union, like the rest of the continental European countries. Because when Brexit happens, well, it is happening now. When it finally happens, that you will see that the UK exits the trade union of the European Union. So European Union is many unions like the monetary union, political union, and trade union like IFTAs. When UK leaves the European Union, it will no longer have the internal market and the access to the continental Europe, and you will have to pay taxes when you are selling your art to your collectors in Belgium, in France, in Germany. Although you're just a couple of hours away, even by car, from them, you are not really allowed to sell without taxes. So your prices will increase, not in a good way, and maybe you're not as competitive as other artists in your niche or in your level. The next thing is the cost of living. As you can see that it's already very, very high in London or in other cities nearby London. So it's not so easy to imagine rent apartment, buy food and buy art supplies and support yourself in the United Kingdom, meanwhile trying to make it as an emerging artist, especially if you don't have a lot of savings or you don't have relatives in the UK. It can be extra hard for you. I don't know if you have heard about this story of a graphic designer who decided to rent an apartment in Barcelona, which is one of the most expensive city in continental Europe, but still it's so much cheaper than London. He would commute to London office 4 times a week from Barcelona by Ryanair or other economic airlines, and it's still cheaper than renting a flat in London alone, not to mention the food, the cost of buying other stuff like leisure, going out to eat with your friends. So it's not so cheap at all. Like, it's probably one of the most expensive cities in the world. So I would say if you don't have a lot of means, stay away from the UK. It's too expensive. Live in continental Europe, you can find so many places a lot cheaper than the UK. Last but not the least, I'm quite concerned about the recent cultural issues and also social issues in the United Kingdom, such as teenage single moms, homelessness, drug and alcohol abuse in the younger generation, and also the mobbing, the robbing of the streets. Like a few years ago, I saw the fact in the whole street everywhere was robbed, like the Apple stores, Nike shoes, all this fashion and accessory stores got really smashed and robbed. Everything was gone, but the only store was not robbed was the bookstore. Guess what? The bookstore. So there is obviously a cultural problem in the United Kingdom, for this to happen, there is something wrong. So if you're worried about being influenced by these types of social and cultural issues, or if you're worried for the education of your kids, and this is something you should consider, you have to weigh the pros and cons and see if it is worthwhile for you to move to the United Kingdom and start off your art career there. Leave me a comment below, let me know what you think. If you're considering UK or another country in Europe, I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to click subscription. Thank you and see you in the next video.